Now there is a strong proverb in English which is called, there is a threshold in industrial automation. And right now in 2021, Tata Motors is exactly doing so by saying reclaim your life through one of their cars. Ladies and gentlemen, myself Abhirup and you're watching Lifestyle and Creations. Let us introduce the all-new Tata Safari. The Tata Safari comes just like the resemblance which it has with its younger sibling, which is the Tata Harrier. But here the differentiator is that you have this tri-arrow design which is finished in chrome. However, in the Harrier you get a complete black treatment. Apart from that, the headlamp unit is basically split into three particular units. The front one, the topmost part, considering that is the LED daytime running LEDs with integrated indicators. Here you have these HID xenon headlamps, and at the very bottom you get the fog lamps for any driving conditions. On the side profile, what you see is an elongated space which actually distinguishes the Safari from the Harrier, because the new Safari, though the wheelbase is absolutely same, but it is 63 mm longer than the Harrier. Now normally in the previous years we used to know Tata Safari which had a long stepped up stance, right? So Tata has actually maintained pretty well with this new Safari, which gives you that particular cue that this is the all new Tata Safari, having this particular long stance and a stepped up stance, I would say, at the rear end of the vehicle. Now at the rear profile, if you see particularly, the Safari has more of a very flat stance and not of a bulged kind. Now here this is beautifully elemented with this thick black strip over here, a piano black strip, and apart from that, one distinguishable feature at the very back is that it basically has two red stripes of the rear brake lamp, whereas the Harrier gets only one. And apart from that, the other normal utilitarians, like for example the integrated indicators and all other telltale lights, are absolutely there. Now when we particularly open the boot, where you find that it has this integration of the rear camera, and when we open the boot there is a fair amount of space which is there. We won't say that the space would be of very high standard, but yes, you can keep a few of your knickknacks if if all people are on board till the third row. Now when we actually shift the third floor, that is the third space rather, complete flattened up, and there you basically get some flat floor, and it actually liberates 445 liters of space as per Tata Motors. Now interestingly, this is more like a flatbed where you can keep all your heavy luggages as and when required. Now as we come to the right hand side of the car, what you would find, and rather we have actually missed a bit before, is that this particular rail comes bold and written as in mains as Safari. Now there is an interesting bit to share with all of you, and that is that if you go for the XZ Plus variant, which is the top model, which comes with the panoramic sunroof, now this is more of a show and not for much of go. But if you go for the XZ variant, for example, which doesn't have the sunroof, that has a proper roof rail where when you put a particular carrier can actually take a load as much as 130 kgs. Now this is seriously something good for the new Safari. Now let's go inside and check what Tata Safari has something in store with us, as inviting as the exterior. Now let's check out the interiors of the new Safari. Now in the interior, when we come, you can see that this Safari has a very luxurious oyster white interiors, what Tata basically loves to prefer this. Now this might not be a very fancy for many, some people, because it tends to get a bit more dirt, but all in all, the support of the seats as well as this particular trim level looks extremely luxurious and comfortable. Now when we speak on the top model XZ Plus, it comes with the driver's seat electrically adjustable, but you do not have the lumbar support out here. Apart from here, when we come to the main screen, you have a part digital, part analog instrument cluster where you get loads of informations which are more than sufficient for your everyday need. Apart from that, when we come to the main console, what we get is an 8.8-inch touchscreen infotainment system, which comes up with all the usual controls of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. However, what is due to mention that Tata Safari has been loaded with premium JBL surround sound system, which comprises of 4 speakers, 4 tweeters and 1 subwoofer. Now coming down the line, here you have all the regular controls of the defoggers, of the telltale lights, of the eco mode. Here you have all the automatic climate control AC touch panels out here. Now over here, when we put, you have very smart places which has been meant by Tata, which that is, you have a pretty good phone holder out here. You have a USB charging port and auxiliary input. Now apart from that, over here you have the USB and the aux ports, and you are complemented with a rotary knob which has basically 3 riding modes, that is the city, normal and the sports mode. Now I would personally say that if you really want to understand this, the main power of this particular engine, you ought to drive in the sports mode, which is absolutely ballistic and it doesn't feel any short of power. Now coming up to the transmission duties, the car comes with 6-speed automatic as well as 6-speed manual transmissions. Well, however, today we have the 6-speed manual transmission which is with us, and well, the throw of the gears are absolutely spot on and very precise. We really loved this thing about what Tata Motors have done to their Safari. Now apart from that, you have this very first, probably one of the industry first in this particular segment, that is the electronic parking brake as well as the auto hold. The corner is basically complemented with piano black finish with silver accents, and you can actually find that these are pretty soft plastics, which is a good thing by Tata Motors. The entire dashboard assembly is of a matte grey stone finish, which we really like about it. Now when it comes to the steering wheel, it comes with both tilt and telescopic, so irrespective of whatever driving heights you have, like I am basically a 6-footer and I have absolutely no problem setting my own particular space for driving. The steering wheel feels actually pretty solid and pretty chunky to hold on, and this has got the leather wrapped steering wheel along with all the usual controls of the volumes, of the cruise control system and other multi information display which you can absolutely read out from here. And this is a pretty good finish out here. Welcome and kudos Tata Motors for this. The entire quality of the complete cabin is pretty luxurious and apt. Now what interesting is we find is that we have a whole lot of cup holders which are available. So while you're on a big trip, you are never going to feel lack of thirst whatsoever. Here we have the 2 medium-sized bottle holders for your thirst, and you have the good armrest out here. Apart from the armrest, just beneath it you have a small cubby holder where you find a 12-volt socket and 2 USB fast charging port. Now this ensures that you are never short of power or connectivity whenever you are required. Now as far as the engine specifications come around, the Tata Safari comes with exactly the same engine which is there with the Harrier, which shares it with the Harrier, and that is the 2-liter Cryotech diesel engine which develops 170 PS of power and 350 Newton meters of torque, and this particular engine has been developed by FCA. Now coming up to the interior, that is the second row of seats. Now you have a fair amount of, say, an inch of left for the knee room which is there, and the very bottom end of my legs are almost touching, but that's not more of a uncomfortable situation. I also have a fair amount of decent headroom which is available. So all in all, it gives a thumbs up. We should give a thumbs up to Tata Motors because the front seat has been adjusted exactly as per my requirement. Now here there is an interesting factor Tata Safari, and that is what they call as the boss mode. Now for example, it is a chauffeur driven car and the chauffeur is driving and there is nobody on the co-passenger seat, co-driver seat. So what you do get is that you can simply pull on the lever and voila, you make it more luxurious and more comfortable knee room and leg room for your own space. At the rear when you're seated, so you basically get a good phone holder, and at the very bottom over here you have also get two USB fast charging ports for the rear passengers. Now a thing to remember is that the new Tata Safari comes with two seating configurations, one being the 6-seater variant which we are seated right now, where in the middle row of seats you get the captain seat, but the other one comes up with bench seats where 3 people can seat abreast. Now the space isn't much of an issue in the Tata Safari, but what is really something to look out for is that this particular car comes up with rear AC vents which are mounted on the pillars and not on the roof because of the panoramic sunroof. Now in case of middle passengers who come up with the bench seat configuration, well, it might take some amount of time to get cooled off during the hot summers. Let's go in the third row of seats and let's check out how much space is there. Now when we move, well, the space is not a bit generous, but okay, I can simply move around. But yes, when I am seated, well, I can say that yes, it doesn't have the very good amount of space, but if you seriously check few particular cars which comes up with the third row of seats, this has a much better space because it was seated right over here, and I do have certain play of the movement of my legs to go for. And moreover, when we come up with the seats, well, yeah, your under thigh support is adequate, not much of a great extent, but still you are not seated high, just like keeping a knot of your knees to the sky. Now this is a comfortable place for two, not for very long rides, but for medium rides I would absolutely recommend. Now what is really good is that you have this rear small quarter glass which is good to look at, and apart from that you have the pillar mounted AC vents to cool you off the rear passengers, and at this particular side you have again two USB fast charging ports, and on the right hand side you actually get the controller to control your blower ends. Now this is really something unique and innovative by Tata Motors. Now what you get out here is basically a beautiful panoramic sunroof which is available. Now the best part is, yes, with the kids, the elders, we all love it. And here you have the sunroof which is completely opened up, and for more space what you do get is this. Is the new Tata Safari worthy to go for? Now my understanding would be that it is a gem of a car which has actually reclaimed your life. Now the new Tata Safari right now comes with only two-wheel drive version. However, what Tata Motors says is that depending on the demand of the customers, they might introduce the four-wheel drive version as well. And we really can't get more to get hands off that particular vehicle. Now as far as the vehicle is considered, it is a beautiful car to go for. And we personally feel that the XZ variant would be probably one of the best buys out of all the variants to go for. And moreover, what is definitely that you reclaim your life with the new Tata Safari. Now when we come to basically the drive quality of the car, now what we really find is that this doesn't fail to impress you whenever you are driving this particular car because of the beautifully laid suspension, and it is supremely comfortable under any circumstances whatsoever. Now what is really commendable is that when you drive this particular car, you find this car to be supremely agile, as well as the steering to be much more direct as well. Now when you are taking a particular turn, they are equally controlled in a very proper fashion, and this is a serious something this car should be looked at. The road, basically what happens is that the Tata Safari right now gives a very compliant and plush ride. Now what effectively means is that whether you're driving alone or you are fully loaded, but the comfort quotient of the vehicle is absolutely spot on to go for. What more is important is that the entire body roll of the car has very well been contained, and what's more to say, we can just think of get it sailing all in all on the highway. See you, and please do subscribe, like and share the page of Lifestyle and Creations if you really like our videos. Bye bye.